So yeah, welcome everyone to Power Platform Community High Five. This is August's event. Thanks everyone for coming along, spending your time with us. Some of you it's evening, some of you it's a different time of day. Briefly, we'll go over the Microsoft Event Code of Conduct. We're just going to use the one that they provide, which is pretty much just, just be nice. That's the short version. It's a kind of a safe space. We just respect everyone. If anyone's got any issues, just feel free to, message me and Sarah when she joins, and we'll help out where we can, but I'm sure it's not needed. So tonight's great. Tonight's kind of a bit of a landmark for us because we started this in January, and we've always done two kind of full-size sessions. But this month we're introducing a new speaker slot for 15 minutes. New speaker might be their first session. I know Asif has done a great session already for an online event, so it might be one of your first sessions, and we'd love to encourage new speakers and provide any kind of mentoring or coaching for new speakers if anyone's interested. So if anyone is interested, just reach out to me directly. I've done the odd talk here and there, so I've got a bit of advice, a bit of experience I'm happy to share with folks. I know we've got great experienced speakers like Leo and Bülent and many others on the call as well. I've certainly learned a lot from both. So yeah, we're in really good company here. But yeah, the sessions we've got this evening, we've got Leo is going to kick us off with You've Got the Power Platform, Controlling Developers in Azure DevOps. Then we have the new speaker slot, the shorter 15-minute session from Asif Zamir, From Clunky to Clean, Make Your Power Apps Look Beautiful. And then we're going to finish up with Bülent Altinsoy with Can Copilot Torture Me to Get Back in Shape? It's something I could do with, to be honest, as well. So I'm hoping to learn a lot from that one. Thanks, Bülent. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Leo. If you want to go ahead and share your screen, my friend, and kick things off when you're ready. If anyone's got questions as we go, throw them in the chat and we'll help where we can.
Can you all see the screen?
Looking good to me.
Okay, great. Well, welcome all. It feels like I'm the crowd warmer this time, with so many good speakers still lining up after this. So let's start kicking things off. I'm going to talk to you about You've Got the Power Platform and how you can use it to control developers in Azure DevOps. So quickly, who am I? Normally I use a clicker, so I'm not used to this setup at the moment. I'm Leo Visser. I'm a consultant at OGD, and I'm also the product lead for automation and AI. I also write on my own blog, ordersysops.com, where you can find blog posts about all kinds of things concerning automation. It's just my personal projects, which I like, and you can find me on the socials. I used to be an MVP, but last renewal I was not renewed. So at the moment, I'm just a normal person, as they say. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a case I found. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the problem which we found, a solution which you could use, and then I'm going to dive a little bit deeper in how the solution was built, and we're going to end up with a conclusion. So just to check a little bit, can we have a show of hands? You can use the raise hand feature in Teams or show it on camera if you want to. You're going to show your hands on camera either way at the end of this session. If this is your first one, you're going to find out. Who here works with code regularly? Okay, I see some hands. There's some more hands popping up. Good. Thank you. You can lower your hands again. So we have a bit of a mixed audience. We've got some people who work a little bit with code, some who work a bit more with code, some probably who live by code almost all the time. So I'm going to explain some of the basics to you about development. For some, this might be new. For others, maybe not. But let's first introduce to you our newest AI startup company. I promise there won't be too much AI in this talk, but I mean, we do have to add in a little bit, right? Some image generation and so on, just to have some fun. So I asked a random AI assistant to give me an office of the newest AI startup. And I told them, like, there's a sales department and there's a programmers department. I think based on this picture, we can all see which side is which. So at the left side, we've got the developers. It's a bit of a chaotic space. There's all kinds of stuff on the wall. And also, I just found it funny that although AI now can create our hands normally, Lego hands, it can still hallucinate more fingers on it. So it's not perfect yet. And when we're talking about developers, they have a certain way of working. So if you've never worked with code before with systems like Git, normally you have what they call the main branch, or they used to call it the master branch. We try to get rid of this term. I think it's clear why. And this is often the production code. This is often the code which runs in production. It's either directly connected to production, where production will take it from, or it's some kind of application we're, for example, selling to others. And this is the version which is being sold at this moment. If you download it from our website, this is the version you'll be downloading. Or if you're using our website, this is the version you'll be using. And if somebody wants to add something to it, wants to improve on it, they create what we call a feature branch. So they split off the code into a new copy, make some changes. And once the changes are being done, or when the changes are done, they have to be merged with the main branch again to make sure that it's all correct. And this is done by what we call a pull request. Most developer workflows will work in some kind of way like this. Maybe there's more types of branches, maybe they use some release structures or whatever, but there's almost always this kind of pull request where you've got your part of code you added and you want to merge it with the bigger program. And this pull request, when it's accepted, it will create a new version. Now, on the other side, we've got the sales department. And every time there's a new version, the sales department, they have something to celebrate because there's something new to sell. But to sell it, they often need to do some work. They need to update, for example, the license requirements or the license agreements. This can either be licenses used from third-party software, which is included in your application, or maybe it's like license agreements of your application. If you added some kind of new features, this probably has to be added in the contracts which you have with your customers or whatever. I mean, nowadays a contract is something weird anyways, because the party you're taking it from, they can change it at any point they want, but you can't change it. At least that's how I feel with all the subscription services nowadays. They also often need to create some kind of new demos. These demos they can use to sell it. They might be videos on the websites, videos on YouTube, or videos they bring to their customers, or maybe some kind of demo environment where they can show their customers like, hey, we've got this awesome application, you also want it. And this also results in making new sales pitches. If there's new versions, new features, they probably have to add it to the sales pitches. So we're getting a bit to this situation where we've got the developers. And when I was more of a developer, they often told me, build fast, break often. They didn't want me to break it often, but it was kind of a result of building it fast. And the idea here is we just continue making the code, making the changes, and if something breaks, we work very agile so we can very quickly fix it again. Instead of doing very long development cycles where everything is tested 100 times to make sure it all works exactly correctly. We just trust our or our automated testing and so on. And if something breaks, we will make sure that the next time it won't break again. I mean, I think that's also how Microsoft works with the Azure portal, seeing how often it breaks. And the salespeople, on the other hand, they have to be very carefully. They have to be very strict in what they're making, because if you make some kind of weird typo in your license agreements, it could cost you quite some money. If you add a zero somewhere or whatever, suddenly prices could go up or down, or you'll be paying somebody back if something breaks and so on. So they need to take their time. So we've got the developers and we've got the sales department, and they're not exactly working in the same way, which is not that big of a problem, but it does require the sales department to be a little bit in control of the developers. Every time a new version is released, the sales department need to make sure that they're also ready for this new version. We don't want the situation where 3 new versions have been released by the time the sales department is done with making the changes and the pitches and so on for the first version. So how I've often seen this work at companies is they use what they call a pull request template. So if we got Azure DevOps, for the people who don't know it, is a tool to manage your code. It's a Git integration platform. You can manage your boards on here. You can make pipelines and you can manage your code. So I've got this very interesting repository. It has a README in it. And we've got what we call the main branch. And in the main branch, there's something in the README. And we've got the development branch. And there's something else in the README. And there's also this folder. And this folder is what contains what we call a pull request template. Now what happens is, I have to remove this one. I thought I removed it. I'm sorry. So when I create a new pull request and I say development is being pushed or merged with main, some text is automatically added here. This is the template which we created. And when the pull request is created, we can add a checkbox here. So this is what I've often seen companies use. They create this kind of pull request template, and they've got these checkboxes, and the developers, they are asked like, hey, can you make sure that all these things are done? So can you make sure that the finance department, the sales department, the marketing department, they know about this, they've done all their stuff, and when everything is okay, we can press merge and bring it into production. This is also the same thing with, for example, infrastructure as code. Maybe you're more of like an Azure-minded person and you're working with infrastructure as code. Then things like this might be a maintenance window has been decided to do the deployment, because we need to make sure that people are available in case the deployment has to be rolled back. Or we need to restart some services, so there will be a small outage, so it has to be communicated. Stuff like this could be in this pull request template. So when you push it to the production, you know that all these steps have been done. And this is all great, but I can still press this complete button accidentally and it will go to production. Because these checkboxes, they're just text, they're a markdown file, and there's nothing stopping me from doing this. And I've seen this go wrong sometimes at customers. So I'll propose to you a new solution. And this solution is built by some different aspects. We've got the Azure DevOps, we've got Logic Apps. Now, I think personally Logic Apps are part of the Power Platform. We will figure out if this is really the case or not. We've got the data version, we've got Power Apps. So there's something for everybody here. If you're into Azure, we've got Azure stuff. If you're into code, we've got code stuff, and we've got low code, no code stuff. I like to glue a lot of stuff together and make it work. Now, I hope this demo will work because earlier today I was testing it. And for some reason, it was not testing. And I did all my troubleshooting and I couldn't make it work. I went to dinner. And when I came back for dinner, like 10 minutes before we started, suddenly I saw all the failed attempts and it seemed to be working again. So fingers crossed the demo is working. There apparently was some kind of outage which was blocking me, but let's see. So I was in you've got the Power Template, and now you've got the Power Platform. Here also we've got the main branch, where there's a README and a TestMD. I just created 2 files, it doesn't matter. And in the development, something has changed. Somebody has added something. We don't have the pull request template this time. And when I'm creating a new pull request, there's only the standard description. When I'm creating this, you'll see that an extra check is being added. So it now shows Power Platform Control. And I've got a Power app here. And I can refresh this. And in this Power app, it now says the update test.md. That's the name of my pull request. It's called here update test.md. And I can approve it. And now let's hope everything is working. If everything is working, any moment this should go to green. And if not, we'll show on the screenshots how it's supposed to work. It's not working instantly. Let me quickly check if it's going or not, or if it failed. It failed. Okay. So something is still wrong, but I'll figure that out later. Like I said, I was troubleshooting all afternoon and nothing seemed to be working, whatever I did. So what you should normally see is then after the approval, it went to a green check mark. I will explain later how this works. And when the green check mark is done, we can continue. Because now you see that it shows here set autocomplete. Because it's not completed yet, I can say it will be auto-completed once the check is done, but I can't press complete. I can because I'm allowed to bypass the rules, but normally you could not complete it. And you could only auto-complete it until this check is done. Okay. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper into this solution. How does it actually work? So we've got the solution. And let's first zoom into the data first. And let's zoom into what kind of data are we doing. I see we've got all kinds of discussions already about Murphy's Law in here. So inside the Power Platform, I've created a table called pull requests. I've done this purely with the data first because I liked doing it with the data first. This could just as well be a SQL database, a NoSQL database, a Azure storage account with a table in there, a SharePoint list, whatever you want. As we work with the Power Platform, we can connect with any data source quite easily anyways. So in here, you see some approvals. You see what they call a pull request ID and a description. And there's the approved yes or no. Once I create a pull request, let me abandon this one and create a new one. In a moment, we will see here sorry. wrong button, that a new one is added. So now the approval 28 was added, and it says approved no. Once it's approved no, it will show up in our app, and once it's approved, it won't show up in our app. I will explain a little bit later how that worked. And how does this how does this work? Well, we can connect with this via Azure. So in Azure, I've got some things to talk to the Power Platform. But something interesting I want to show to you is what we call an Azure Managed Identity. There's many different ways to communicate with the Power Platform. And one of the things I like to use is a way where I don't have to manage any password or whatever. And in here, I can create what they call a managed identity. And it's an identity managed by Azure. And I can add this managed identity in the Power Platform admin center as what we call an app user. So if you go to your environment and you go to settings, there's here something which is called application users. And in here, you can see the Azure DevOps managed identity. So by adding this managed identity as an application user in your environment, it will be allowed to actually interact with the Power Platform, with your data tables, with the apps and whatever. And this way, I can very easily create an authentication scheme, and I can manipulate the data. And this manipulation of the data, that's done when we create the pull request. So in Azure DevOps, we've got this pull request as we had before. And it's triggering something. It will make something happen, but I have to set this up. And I set this up by what we call service hooks. In Azure DevOps, you can create what they call a service hook. And here you see one, a webhook. I can edit this, and you can say when the hook needs to trigger. Azure DevOps has many different times when it can trigger a hook. You can give it some filters, and then you can say where it should go. And here you see some kind of URL. This URL we'll get back to very shortly. And I can also add some authentication if I want to this URL. So by using these webhooks or service hooks, I can trigger things happening on certain events. Also, in Azure DevOps, I can add this managed identity too. So we had this managed identity before. I can also add it as a user in my Azure DevOps project and actually give it a license so it can interact with my Azure DevOps environment. This way, from Azure, I can now talk to the Power Platform and I can talk to Azure DevOps. And this way, I don't have to worry about any service accounts, any passwords or whatever. The last thingy is in my branches, I can create something which is called a branch policy. And with branch policies, you can always make sure that somebody has to create a pull request to be able to merge. But also here you see something which is called status checks. And here we see the Power Platform control status check. And you can say if it's required or optional, and you can add some more parameters to it. Now, when you will go to Azure DevOps yourself, you won't see any statuses instantly. you can click add, but this drop-down list will be empty. Only once you've added the status once, it will show up here. And I will show you in a moment how to add these statuses, because that's what we're doing. And that's what we're doing in the first logic app, which is created. And this logic app, it's the new PR. It's actually quite a simple logic app. It's triggering when an HTTP call is received. And this is the same URL we had with the service hook. So when a pull request is created, it will trigger this logic app. I'm just quickly checking that I'm not forgetting to tell anything. This logic app, it will add a row to the data verse. So it will look for the table pull requests and use a post method to add something to it. Now, you might wonder, why am I using the HTTP connector and not the Dataverse connector? Well, this is because I wanted to use the managed identity to connect. And you can connect to the REST APIs for the Dataverse by using a managed identity, but the connectors for the Dataverse, they don't allow for this option yet. Maybe eventually they will, but for this, at this moment, they won't. And it also, you would think that's quite easy because you select the managed identity and you then click your managed identity, but then you have to give this audience. And this audience has to be specifically the name of your organization. This is something which took me quite some time to figure out, because I think it was on page 7 of Google when I was looking for it that somebody said, yeah, you need this. I couldn't find any official documentation saying you need this specific attribute, but eventually somebody apparently found it out. This won't be the last time this happened, by the way. And this way, we can use a managed identity to add something to our table in the Dataverse. And here's when the magic really happens, because Azure DevOps also has an API. And we've got here the pull request ID. It's a parameter we get from our webhook. The webhook, the service hook in Azure DevOps, it will give me specific information. This is all the information it gets. You can get this very easily by just creating once, seeing what it sends you, and then by this, create a schema of it. And also in documentation, it shows the whole schema. So you could just copy that. And this will add a status. And the status I define here. I can give it a state, which is set to pending. I can give it a description. I can give it a name. And I can give it a target URL. Because what you didn't see before is that if I have this pull request, I can actually also just click on this check, and it will bring me instantly to the Power App we were looking at before. This is the URL I give it when I'm creating it. I can make this check go to any site I want. If somebody has to go search something on Google, I could send them to Google by clicking on it. And this way I add this status. And once it's added once, this way you'll be able to add it as a required check for your pull request template, and it will be instantly added to the pull request, not to the pull request template, to the pull request, to the branch policy. And it will be added, and once this is triggering, it will be set on pending. So this is when it starts spinning. And then I just give a response back, letting Azure DevOps know it was successfully. So that's what's happening in this logic app. And that brings me to, I believe, the next part. Oh no, wait, we had one more thing. There is this small delay here. There's a delay of 1 second. Now I could say this delay could also be somewhere later on. But can somebody guess why this delay is here? You can put it in chat or just say it on your microphone, whatever you want. It's not due to the response, Asif. Kind of, Keith. It's kind of waiting on an operation to complete. So when this service hook triggers that a new pull request is created, this goes almost instantly. So it will also try to almost instantly add a status to the pull request. But Azure DevOps is a system which is created high available. So it is possible that your service hook is coming from one server, and when you're talking to the REST API, it's going to a different server, which might not have your pull request on there yet because it's still synchronizing. When I didn't have this delay in here, my logic app was failing about 25% of the time. So adding just 1 second delay in here fixed that problem completely for me by just giving it a little bit of time to make sure that it was in the whole caching, because there's probably also some kind of cache in the REST API to make sure it was propagated everywhere correctly. So small tip from me. And that brings us to the Power App. You all love developing Power App solutions. So you are probably already cringing at my beautiful Power App I created. So let's look at it a little bit more in the designer. I could use better colors, but I created this for a different event and they had this color scheme. I didn't pick the color scheme, so I just made it in the same color scheme. Now, this is a very simple app. I didn't name the things correctly. You all know how to do this way better than me, probably. What's happening here is I've added the Power App to the pull request table in the Dataverse, as we saw before. And this way, every time a pull request is created, it will be listed in there. And here I just got my list and I just filter it to say I only want to see the ones where approved is equal to false. Now, I believe there's better things to use than filter if you have very big data sets, but as a proof of concept, this works completely fine. And I've got this approve button, and when you press the approve button, we do a patch where we set this item approved is true. So when you press it, it will set it to true. This way it's filtered from the list, and the next thing is happening. So you see that this app is quite simple. Now, I could make this app a lot more complicated because in here, we just got this check to check, say it can continue. But if you're working with a system where there's many different checks which need to be done by people, and it's people you don't really want to make have them make use of Azure DevOps, say your sales department. I remember the first time when I asked somebody of sales to just go to a pull request and check a checkbox in there. They were looking at me like I was asking them to build a rocket to go to the moon. So giving them a Power App where they just see the things and they can click on something and it's done. It's a lot easier for them to work on. I can embed this in Teams because they're mostly only working in Teams or whatever. I can embed it in SharePoint. I can put it in the places they need it. And they could even do it on their phone. If we have some account managers, I don't know if account managers are sitting at a desk often, at least the ones at our company. I feel like they're only sitting in their car. Every time I call them, they're in a car. So they can use this app and we can add extra things to it. You can add different stages besides pending. You can give it any stage name you want. And I could do multiple different stages before it's approved. Or I could add some other checks in here. I could add approval flows in here. So now it's a very easy checkbox or a very easy button. But we can all imagine that this is something from here we can build on. We can create our approval flows and whatsoever to eventually make sure that everything is correct and it will send our message back. And sending this message back, it does by our last logic app. And now I can also instantly do some live troubleshooting because it just failed. So now we can see why it failed. So let's quickly see what's failing here. It's having some kind of bad request. Okay, I'll need to look into this. There's probably some kind of authentication problem or something changed or some value is not picked up. As you see, it was successful sometimes today, but suddenly, yeah, I was testing a lot and suddenly at 5:85, something changed and a lot of things started working again. And that was when I was having dinner already. So, yeah. As you saw already, this is also quite an easy one. Now here I'm using the trigger from the Dataverse to check if something was modified in the pull request, and if it was, it will continue. This is the newer connector. In the old connector, you could just say if a row was modified or not. And in this new one, you can also say if it's added or modified. You can select all these different change types. The old one is now deprecated. And I use here the connector to make my life a lot easier because making a connector based on the managed identity authentication is harder. Because I can change the connection here. I could add a new connection. And I've got some options, but I don't have the managed identity option here. Now you could use the service principal. Make sure you have an app, an Entra ID app registration. Make sure it's you've got the client ID, the client secret. Set it up. Make sure it has the permissions in the Power Platform, and that would work. You would need to probably re-roll the secret once in a while. This is something you can technically automate also to make sure it works. So there's ways of doing this. I was lazy, so I just used OAuth because I already showed you a good way of doing it with the managed identity. And here we do the HTTP. And here we do the HTTP back to the pull request. Statuses. I think it's missing here. Yeah, that's the problem. It should say here the pull request ID, and that was missing because I had to change some things. So that's why it was failing. It was missing the pull request ID. So here it now says it succeeded. I have the target URL, so I can also in different stages change the URL. So I could now have it sent to something else, for example. I could, for example, now have it be sent to the website where the new news article is posted or is in draft or whatever, for example. Also, I was glossing over it earlier, but here so we also authenticate with the managed identity to Azure DevOps. And just as with the Power Platform, you also need to add an audience here. And this is one specific GUID. You always need this specific GUID. If you authenticate to the Azure DevOps REST API by using a managed identity, this is the GUID you need. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Good luck with finding it. I think the first hit now is my blog post where I explain this. Before that, it was also somewhere on page 7 or 8 on Google, finding this specific one. It's one of the built-in GUIDs in Azure, I believe. And yeah, it was fun trying to figure this out. So, and this will bring us back. I think I can now save it. So we still had one pull request open here. And let's see if I actually did live troubleshooting. So if I now finish it here, and we go back here, it's now waiting. This is a status I haven't seen before. Filled. Okay, there's still something else going on. I will look into it. And now I'm just curious a little bit. Is it still the bad request? Not found. Okay. I'll look into this later. I think I had to change the connector and so on because I was also using the deprecated connector, and I think something went wrong here. I hope to show it to you correctly. But this is how the whole solution works. So with this solution, I'll be able to make sure that people who are not really used to a developer workflow, they can still interact with this developer workflow. And this is what I call controlling the developers in Azure DevOps. By connecting it to the Power Platform, by using these techniques, I can make sure that I can have people who are less developer-oriented work in this workflow and make sure that my developers, they can still just say autocomplete, and when everything is done, things will automatically be completed if they want to. In this way, I make them all work better together. I showed you also some things about how to improve the security of it. And this principle is very easy to apply in many different situations. I now showed it for this pull request. You can do this with infrastructure as code and with other things. I showed you it in a Power App or something approved it. This could also be connected to some kind of Google Calendar where you have your Power App or Logic app check if something is added to a Outlook calendar or Google Calendar, for example, some kind of maintenance window calendar. And if it's added there, it will send back a request or a response. It's added, and it will automatically check the status. So there's many different ways to apply this. I believe if you scan this QR code, you will be sent to my blog post where I write more about this. You can find me on the socials. You can find me on my website. And if there's any questions, I think now is the time. And then Asif can start getting more nervous.
Thanks, Leo. That was absolutely amazing. I know your technical skills are up there. I'm always impressed that you've got this kind of breadth across Azure, Power Platform, security, and many other places as well. So thank you for that great session. As Leo mentioned, if anyone's got any questions, please use the raise hand in Teams, and we'll go around the room if there are any. And if not, I'm sure you can always reach out to Leo after the session if you think of something later on.
For sure. It's probably an information overload for everybody anyway, so.
There's a lot going on. It's a great solution there, actually. And I love the use of Logic apps. I don't see many demos with those.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we're getting a lot of love in the chat, but no questions, Leo. So thank you again for that. That was absolutely amazing. Again, feel free to reach out to Leo. He's one of the nicest guys in the community, in my opinion. We've known each other for a little while now. So yeah, with that, thank you very, very much, Leo. Asif, it's great to introduce you as one of the new speakers. You're taking this first spot for us. I know you gave another session recently for an event which was absolutely brilliant, by the way. But it's wonderful to have you join us. So yeah, please go ahead and everyone, please give Asif a lot of love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. This was supposed to be my first, but Heather got in the way, and she nabbed me for a different one. But I'll be as quick as I can. I know there's a 15-minute limit. Thank you very much, Leo. That was really insightful. Thank you for your knowledge sharing. So yeah, this presentation is around Clunky to Clean, make your power-ups look beautiful. A little bit about me. I'm Asif Zamir, a Power Platform consultant focused on building power-ups that aren't just functional, but actually feel clean, modern, and easy to use. I've been in tech for about 10 years, started off as an IT technician, then shifted into design and dev work. But I was always a bit of a generalist, good at a lot of things, but not known for that one. That changed when I found the Power Platform. So I built a desk booking app as a citizen developer during COVID. It took off internally, and that gave me clarity. I knew I wanted to go all in. We're not just building apps, building great user experiences. Apps that actually, people want to use. And that's what today is about. I'll walk you through how applying simple design principles can take your power-ups from clunky to clean. So let's talk about why design even matters in power-ups. I've seen, and I've actually built apps that worked fine on paper, but users hated using them. The buttons were there, the data was loading, but people didn't enjoy the experience. What was the result? People avoided using it. They go back to their emails and spreadsheets. They start getting support tickets and complaints. Bad UI means low adoption. No matter how powerful your logic is behind the scenes, but when an app is well designed, clean, clear, and easy to use, things change. Users move through it quicker. They make fewer mistakes. They stop asking for training. They just get on with it. And when it's really well designed, that's when other teams notice. They start asking, "Who built that? Can we have one like that?" Your app starts selling itself, and that's the power of design. It's not decoration. It's how your app earns trust and adoption. Take a look at this. This is the same concept, same logic, same data, no plugins, just different choices. On the left is what a lot of apps end up looking like. It works, but it feels rushed, cluttered, and transactional. The right is the exact same thing, but I've applied spacing, layout structure, visual hierarchy, feedback elements. No one trained me on this. It's just a shift in mindset, and you can do it too. Add containers, spacing, consistency, having all these pieces in. And what I found is users instantly respond to this. You go from, I guess I have to use this up, to, oh, this actually feels easy to use. And that's the real power of design. Now that we've seen these are the 5 core UI UX principles I rely on when designing power ups. And they're what separate functional apps to delightful ones. We'll break each one down with real examples, with before and afters. It's so important to get these principles right, and anyone can do it. But once you get these right, everything else becomes easier. That means adoption, training, even performance. So let's get into it. Here's a quick before and after, focus purely on visual hierarchy. On the left, you've got everything screaming at you at the same volume. Same font, same font weight as well, same size, no clear structure. The information is there, but it's hard to know where to start. And now look on the right. It's the same data, but the medicine name has more weight. The stock level pops with clear numbers and progress bar and the progress bar. The supporting details like location and expiry are dialed down, still visible, but not competing for attention. And that's the main thing. If everything's competing for attention, no one's getting attention. This is what hierarchy does. It guides the eye. It tells the user, start here, this matters. Now glance here if you need to. And when you do this really well, you reduce hesitation, errors, and frustration. just by being intentional with textiles and layouts. This is what you call Hicks' law in action. Fewer, clear choices help users act faster. This one is one of the most overlooked parts of Power Apps design, spacing. On the left, everything is fighting for room, but there's no breathing space between elements. Icons are crammed in, and the eye doesn't know where to focus. On the right, we've applied proper padding alignment, using layout containers. Each section has space, there's rhythm, and just like that, the app feels cleaner, calmer, and easier to use. No new controls, no custom code, just smart spacing. And here's the thing, users can't always explain why it feels better, but they know it does. This is why I build every layout in containers, and I always set my spacing before I even drop in a control. If your app looks messy, it's probably not your fonts or colors, it's your spacing. Well, that's something else, Leo. I think yours was the coloring, but that was mustard all the way. This one's subtle but powerful. On the left, you've got an app a data card. I mean, so you got a data card that's mostly there, but things start to feel a bit off. The expired pill is using a script style font. The low stock badge has a different fill, padding, and shadow. The update label is lowercase, smaller, and misaligned. Each little detail by itself doesn't seem major, but together it feels messy, like different people worked on it without talking. Now compare that to the one on the right. Unified typography, consistent spacing, status pills that follow the same shape, size, and style. It feels intentional, thought through. And the truth is, users may not consistently or consciously notice these differences, but they will feel it. And that's the thing with consistency. It removes friction. You reduce confusion, speed up navigation, and even create trust. And from a dev point of view, it helps you too. This one's all about communication. On the left, the data card technically tells me what's going on. It says the medicine's expired. It says the stock is low, but everything is just flat. It's monotone. I have to read and process it. It's very easy to skim past. There's no urgency, no visual cue pulling my eye. On the right, we've turned that same message into a visual feedback. The progress bar immediately shows how close we are to the limit. The expired and low stock pills pop out with color and shape. Even the orange tint in the stock level draws attention. All of this makes the status clear at a glance, and there's no reading needed whatsoever. So even if you've got 10 of these data cards, you can very, very easily skim past it and understand which one's high stock, which one's low stock, or which one's completely out of stock. And that's what good feedback does. It removes the doubt. It reassures the users. It guides attention to what matters. And especially in low-code Power Apps or low-code apps, where users aren't always techie, this kind of visual feedback makes your app feel more alive, responsive, and safe to use. No one wants to use an app that feels uncertain. Visual feedback builds trust. Accessibility. So, wait 1 second, get my notes. So by now, following all the previous principles, we've cleaned up the layout, improved the spacing, added clear status feedback. And you might think we're done, but there's one more thing that separates good design from inclusive design, and that's accessibility. The card on the left looks nice. It's clean, minimal, and follows all the previous principles. But here's the problem. It fails at accessibility. The green on white text has poor contrast. If you're colorblind or just looking at this on a washed out screen, you might not even see the stock levels or status tags properly. There are no icons, no extra cues. It relies completely on color to communicate meaning. Now look on the right. We've used stronger contrast, added clear icons, and made sure everything is legible for as many users as possible. because great design doesn't just look good. It works for everyone. Try to remember one thing. If it's not accessible, it's not finished. And that's another thing. Let's try to build our apps from accessibility from the ground up, ensuring that we keep in mind while we're developing, while we're coding, before we even put the first line of code in, we even in our mockups or even in our architecture design, or in our process flow diagrams, anything pre-development, we ensure accessibility is there from the get-go. This right here is what Power Apps gives you by default. Technically, it works. The data's there. You can click, edit, and navigate. But design-wise, there's no hierarchy, no feedback, no clarity. It feels flat, functional, but forgettable. And for users, it means hesitation. It means questions, and it means slower path to action. This is why we need to move beyond default and take control of the experience. I do feel, from what I've seen in the industry as well, that the experience layer is missing, especially if adoption and efficiency are the goals. So we need to ensure the experience piece is there too. So let's take this same functionality and bring it to life. And here's what it looks like when all the principles come together. Same data, same use case, but a completely different experience. Each card has clear hierarchy, intuitive spacing, consistent styling, real-time feedback, and WCAG compliant accessibility baked in. Users can scan, understand, and act without friction. This is how we move from functional to frictionless, from out the box to designed for humans. And the best part is still 100% Power Apps, just rethought with intention. So these are 5 things to remember through this presentation. So like I said, visual hierarchy, it guides the eye to what matters most. Spacing and alignment, give the content room to breathe. Consistency, create a predictable, polished experience. Feedback and status, surface key alerts visually and clearly, and accessibility. Designed for everyone from ground up. I've been building Power Apps for years, designing solutions that are clean, scalable, and user-friendly. What's new for me is sharing that process publicly. I've got a lot of content in the pipeline, from practical UI tips to deep dives into reusable patterns and real client builds. If you're looking to level up your Power Apps game and just want inspiration grounded in real-world delivery, scan the QR code, follow me on LinkedIn, and let's connect. Hope this talk was helpful. This was supposed, like I said at the beginning, this was supposed to be my first ever speech, but a colleague requested me to join theirs a couple of weeks ago, so they took my first spot in essence. But I did book on this first, so I just want to say a special thank you to Keith and Sharon for the opportunity as well. Just to finalize, I am going to be making a video on how to create a gallery like this, so keep an eye out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asif. That was absolutely brilliant. Really good session. And again, I'll be having words with Heather. Don't you worry about that for nabbing your first session. Just kidding. Really good. And I love the one you did before as well. I can see your presenting's going on leaps and bounds already. So fantastic. Lots of love in the chat. If anyone's got any questions, please just raise the hand in Teams and we'll go around. Even if there's a comment, it doesn't have to be a question as well. Hey, Vishnu, go ahead.
Hey, Asif, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a pretty while now.
Thanks, man.
Like your posts and all the tips that you shared on UI UX and all the questions that you have solved for people. So my question for you will be, if let's say that I build a gallery like this, will it change the performance in any way? Because the applications that I generally build are like very large scale. So I focus on UI, like being it clean and all, but not such colors and like progress bars and all that stuff. So do you think like if I add all this stuff, will the performance affect?
But from what I've seen personally, it hasn't made much of a difference. Again, it's down to the way it's coded. Using like variables would help quite a lot. So you essentially there's a central place for all your code to sit, your design code to sit, rather than copying that onto every single control or every single data card or anything like that. So have a central place. So when your app does load initially, it has all that base data from the get-go. That itself, it definitely helps. If there's any, what I've seen as well is that if the app does load slower, not for design but any other reason, having a loading screen just for 5 seconds or even a couple of seconds to get that initial bulk load in, that helps as well, the user experience. Because instead of the app being slow on every single screen the person clicks on, you rather them go through that first initial 5, even 7 seconds. So that loading speed is done. Just there, and it'll start becoming an expectation. Nowadays, when you open up an app, it does take a bit of time to load. So people are already used to that. But while people are using the application, it's best to keep it as clean as possible. And that's one of the main reasons why keeping that initial code base at the very beginning of the app is better. Hopefully that's helped.
Yep. Thanks, man.
No worries, thank you. I appreciate you following as well. Something completely new to me. So.
Yeah, like to be frank, I joined this session only because you told like you were taking a session here, or else like
God.
this is my first call with this Power Platform
Okay.
High Five.
Yeah,
Thanks, Keith,
Keith does some amazing, and all the presenters as well do absolutely amazing work. So yeah, do keep following High Five as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. And it's well known how famous Bülent is. He draws quite the crowd for us as well. So I'm joking, but Bülent's a fantastic speaker. So it's great having him join us as well. But Asif, actually, there was another question in the chat here from Leo. Do you have any resources or tools to make sure that your apps are compliant for accessibility, whether it might be automated testing or anything else?
Yeah, I will drop them in the chat while Bülent's talking without taking much time. Yeah, I'll be sending some through. Yeah.
Great stuff. Yeah, thank you. Just my 2 cents for that one as well. There are many good tools whether you're checking against certain compliance and standards. I'm just checking in the browser now. I use Accessibility Insights for Web. So that's a good browser extension that I use on Chrome. So you just have it very convenient to check things like that. I think Leo mentioned in the chat, we do have accessibility checks in the App Checker and Power Apps as well. But yeah, thanks, Asif. There's a great one there, accessible color matrix as well. Very useful.
Thank you. I just sent a couple into the chat. Thank you.
Brilliant. And thanks, Kiran, as well. WCAG, it was the guidelines I was trying to think of just there. That's perfect. Fantastic. Any other questions while we have Asif? Fantastic. Okay, well, there's a lot of love in the chat for you there, Asif. Great session. Everyone's loving it.
Thank you.
Some really good questions as well. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. So with that, we're on to our third and final session of the night. My good friend and a brilliant speaker, Bülent Altinsoy, over to you.
Can I ask you a question? How many times you have just, practiced my last name? Because you have never talked with my last name, to me. It's really brilliant. Your German are getting better and better. So,
danke schön.
Yeah, you see. So I have a feeling of, you will replace me one day with my German skills somewhere. So awesome. First of all, before I start, Asif, I just want to say congratulations. If that was your first presentation, it was an amazing one. So it's really also your PowerPoint presentation was really fantastic and had all that styles in there, all that principles. That's really, really great. And Leo as well, also very great technical stuff. I feel honored to be in this round. And a couple weeks ago, when Keith was just saying, what is the title? What is the title? You have just to say a title, and I just want to come up with something else. And there was nothing more, coming to my mind like, yeah, Copilot, it tortures me currently. Why does it torture me, also to get back in shape as well? And I will also explain a little bit why I just came to this kind of a title. So it's really a new one. So you'll be exclusively invited to be on this pilot here, more or less. So who I am, I think the majority knows me, but for any case you just don't know me, my name is Bülent Altinsoy. Keith has pronounced it perfectly. And I'm in the community since last year. I started last year as well. And I was sitting in I think there were one first virtual call with Sarah Jones, and I was nervous like hell. I had that kind of a bottle, and I can tell you after 10 minutes, this bottle was so empty because I was drinking like hell. I'm working in a company called Evanate. This is for nearly now 15 years. So I'm going towards my 15 years. I'm some kind of a solution architect, a trainer, whatever else you can just call me. I have excessive knowledge in Dynamics 365, customer engagement, in Power Platform, and then Copilot Studio as well, where also my MVP status is resonating in. I'm also an MCT as well since a couple of years. And if you haven't connected to LinkedIn, that's a good opportunity. But maybe you want to check, first of all, what he's saying. Maybe you just want to connect afterwards. So in that case, so let's dive in. What do you use Copilot for the most? And this is something you can just write down in the chat because this is an interactive session in that case. So because if you're working with companies, they always come up with that requirements like, yeah, I want to save some time. I just want to reduce workflows or whatever and so on. And if I'm just checking in, creating pictures of cats, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Ideas of interviews, perhaps funny dog photos. I see pets are very famous in that kind of things. And maybe also is anyone who've just created that McDonald's video with that cats working there and so on? Maybe one of these here also have just done it as well. So you see, you just use it for fun as well. But to be very honest, adoption is something which I just found out. You need to start with things which really we're really thinking constantly on it. So if you're working in a company, of course, yeah, saving time. If coming back from vacation like me yesterday, and you have maybe 200 emails, it just summarizes everything. That's nice and all that kind of thing. But what's in for the people who just really want that kind of adoption? That means if you want to use Copilot, something which is really meaning something to you. And I think one of the things which really is dealing with us or just, keeping us busy is always, I don't know if it's in your place as well, but my wife is always, going to the weight and every morning and then just checking how much kilograms she just still if she just gained weight or just lost weight and all that kind of stuff. And I think these kind of things are really something which is helpful. And I believe that, why can't we use Copilot for that kind of things? And to be honest, I'm a very lazy person. You won't believe it because you always see that kind of, he's very active in the community, but I mostly need a kick up in the ass. Can I say that? I don't know, but I said it. Maybe I'm the first one who say that in this call, but I'm from Germany. So that's why I'm allowed to do this. So in that case, also need that in kind of doing some kind of exercises or doing some kind of thing. So I believe this is good. And what I did is in my past is if I just wanted to lose weight, because I'm a little bit fat, still looking good, but a little bit fat, but I just want to lose weight. And what I did is I tried several ways. So obviously I tried to cheap one, like using apps, for example. But the problem with apps is obviously they also cost something. So they have mostly premium services behind and all that kind of stuff. They seems like cheap. They always, say, hey, we're cheap for free. You can download it for free. But, cheap or not, here I come, pay me, la la la, some things like that. So, but it's also not, ass kicking enough. So to be very honest, what I also tried is also EMS training. I don't know if you've ever tried this one. It can be effective, but I always felt pressured, you know, to come to some times, mostly to times where I needed to work and didn't have really time to do. And look at me, I had really black hair once, and this is my wonderful wife, by the way. We tried it as an activity, you know, both and so on, and trying to kick our ass, but that really didn't work out. And I also tried it with a personal trainer, which was a best experience, as you can see. Look at this evil, you know, face impression in that case. So she was really kicking. If I didn't do what she said, then obviously it was really working. But it is effective, but with time, it's very, very expensive. So, and I didn't want, you know, to pay any kind of apps and the, you know, services, and also and persons, human persons are also expensive as well. So can Copilot be a solution in that case? So we're saying every time we can do so much with Copilots. So why not also using this for this as well? And what I did in the very first beginning is I tried it out. I said, extra for this session, I just started, you know, my fitness journey based on Copilot. And my first start was not Copilot, but ChatGPT, because that was, you know, one of the most famous ones, which is just running. And I just tried these things out. And you know what? We will also do a demo on this, how this works, because I just wanted also a mean one of that. So it shall be also mean when I'm just not dealing with that. So let's go to a demo and try these things out, how this works. Hopefully this is big enough. If not, let me just see if I can make it bigger. So, let me see, wait a second. So let me just go first of all in this mode, and I believe then I can just go in here and increase. Here we go. That works. I think that is good enough as well. So awesome. Good. So I am very good at typing, so that's a lie. I just have copy pasted everything already, because every time when you see I'm just making mistakes, you know, in my sentence, I'm just doing that by purpose, because I'm just refusing to wear my glasses. That's why I always it looks like a second and third. What the hell did I wrote there? So can you create a fitness plan for me for the next 6-8 weeks? Ask me questions that will help you to learn more about me. Also ask me what I don't like and whether I have any physical limitations. I'm usually lazy, so you can be a little mean and criticize me when I don't want to do everything. So if I'm lazy, so I will never achieve my goals, something like this. So let's see how this works out. So, and it always comes up with that nice, friendly tone. Even I said, be mean, all that kind of stuff, you know? So it just comes with that, I will hold on you. If this is a threat, you know, I should send you to a president in the United States. It's much better in threatening people, to be very honest. So, but it's really cool. So it just starts with that kind of question, and especially if you haven't been there already. So I've been a couple times, that's why I can compare this. It is really quite good what you can get at that kind of question. So what's your main fitness goal? Lose weight? What's your current fitness level? So you can use Copilots to have that kind of a conversation. So if you don't know how to start, use it as an interview partner, and it just comes in on how to start. So I'm just telling today some truths about me, something like, and it also comes with the anti-plan section, what you always hate about doing that burpees, running. So burpees, that is really what I read. So I'm 48 years old, I'm 180 centimeter tall, and I weigh 69 kilogram. So, and then it starts with that kind of information. Oh, okay, that's great. And then also memorize all that kind of things, which is a great thing in Copilots, you know, that memorizing, so it will never forget about everything. So, and that just reminds you, please answer these 15 quick questions and so on, and say, okay, my current fitness level is, since June 25, I've been going to the gym 3-4 times a day and training for 30-40 minutes, and I find it okay. So, all right, that's not lazy, that's progress. And you see, every time it's motivating you, instead being mean, instead was, you can do more, something like this. So because Copilots are developed like that, they're always trying to help you and motivate you all the time. So, well, before I give you a 6-8 solid plan, so I need still answers, you know, of the rest of the questions. So, and I also like, so because if you're using that normal fitness app, it never asks you about that kind of things which I'm just typing in now. So for example, your pain points. So I say my legs are a weak point, needs to be trained, but I also have knee problems. So if I have knee problems, then usually after a couple of years, I'm a little bit more cautious with all that kind of movements. So, and my knees cracks, and it's obviously, it thanks you, but it also tells you, yeah, it's a weak point. We prioritized leg strength and mobility, and knee pain, like due to muscular imbalance, poor quad, hamstring, glute activation, and also tries to explain it to you, which is really cool. So I have now so far all that information, and here are the last ones which I'm just adding. And let me just give you this. In addition, my stomach circumference is much too large. However, I don't want to do many abdominal exercises, as the strength of the muscles makes the stomach look not really more muscular, more like more fatty. So, and every time when you just have that kind of things, by the way, you can also do this via voice, this is exactly the kind of clarity I need. It's not just throwing get fit into the void, you're thinking. So you see, every time what I just throwing in, it just motivates and tries to motivate me more and more and more, which is good, because motivation is something in the very first beginning, which is great. So, and then it also asks you other questions. So for example, I can arrange up to 5 days a week. So I was very motivated in June. I can tell you there was a mistake, but I'm always starting, very motivated. But realistically, it would be 3-4 times. So once you just ask that kind of questions, it really starts, with a plan. And one of the last things, which I'm also just doing as well, is, let me see, final questions, fast round, equipment, you use at gym, and so on and so on. Let me just give me this one as well. So I don't like anything that could be dangerous for my knees. I participated in a group, and I now also telling my experience, what I did, and so on, just to see how now Copilot will react on this one. So, and I hate burpees. Yeah, that's very important. I don't know if you've ever done burpees. I don't know who invented that. This person must be, working in a torchment business. I have no idea why, but this is really horrible. And then it just, if at the end, so final gaps complete. So let me say I use free weights. To complete that, I use free weights. And what throws you off most? Skipness, and say work stress and tiredness and laziness. Let me just write this down as well and give you also examples. So it gives me already the excuses. Very good. So that I can just write it down. Typical meal, snacks, and so on. I want to include simple nutrition guide. This is an important one, just that you just already know. Yeah, I think everyone knows this. Only with exercising it doesn't help you to lose weight. You also need, more or less a good nutrition guide to lose all that kind of things. I'm just excluding that out because it would really become too much. And nutrition guide, let me say no in that case, because it also gives you some kind of stuff there. So let me see, something like this. How sleep lately? Sleep. What is sleep? I have a kid. I don't have any sleep, if you ask me. So, and why now? What you make you want to plan today? The real reason I want to change my life. Let's see how I will react on that. So success in 6 weeks. So after 8 weeks, I want to weigh less 5 kilograms, for example. So here we go. And how serious are you? I am very serious. Good. So let's see if this is already good. So, and let me see. So the good thing is, after this, so memory in ChatGPT has changed. So you see in that case, it already also, saved that kind of information. So this is really good. You can also manage this kind of things if you want. but this is good. And it comes now up with my fitness plan. So these are the things we usually go somewhere and you're paying money for this. You can get this now for free with Copilot, which is a huge help. And I'm using the free plan here in that case. So plan in progress, stay tuned. So it does give me that kind of things. And FTP ready if needed. Yes, give me the PDF file, please. So the good thing is that all works. You're getting a really good plan. It might not be 100 perfect of you because that person can't see you, can't touch you, can't tell you, you know, what you really need and all that kind of stuff. But it's really, really helpful, I would say. I trained with that kind of things in the gym with that. So while it's just generating that kind of things, I can tell you how it looks like. Do you know that Microsoft marketing quote UI is an AI is a new UI? Tell me the truth. Do you like that one? I hope not, because it's really, for me, it's not really. I hate this quote, to be very honest. But I can tell you, if you just look here, I just did that in German, but don't worry about this. You will learn German with me. We have keys for that. In that case, if you just scroll down, you see I started this one. So somewhere here, after I had a lot of conversation, and I just told also my life story as well. So, and then I just get there and started training. I said, okay, just start with day one. He memorizes everything. The good thing about this, while he's memorizing, I can also write down everything, you know, in the chat, or I can talk to it and so on. He just memorized everything. So you don't need to do anything else there. The problem with all that kind of things is if you get an exercise and your device, the equipment is not free and you have to jump because you have to wait in the gym and then come later to this, you are scrolling like hell. You're scrolling like hell and you're losing that. And every time when I'm just asking back, what are my left, you know, exercise and all that kind, someday what happens is it just tells you, I'm sorry, your free plan for today is, you know, not available anymore. You have to wait 18 hours, 24 hours, whatever hours, and so on. You see, because there's some really cool feature which I like. If you have an exercise and you're not sure how to do, you can tell as well, generate me a video, and it just shows you. And this is really great. It's a huge advantage. But unfortunately, your free plan is with that video more or less burned. You don't have anything there anymore. And that's a whole problem with all that kind of things. But it's a good experience. And I just did that. I also did that for food and nutrition, all that kind of stuff. It's really great, but you don't really, that already don't work out with that free plan, to be very honest. So what is the experiences so far? So the experiences is anytime I have a help, I have a question to an exercise, I have a question to what I can do, or maybe I don't feel good today, what can I do? Shall I make a pause? And it's always someone there. I can't tell that from a personal trainer or from someone else, that someone is always there for you. It gives you really a feeling of someone is, you know, be on your side and helps you all the time, which is a huge advantage and give you a good feeling. It also creates you any kind of video for any exercise. I think this is a huge one. You know, if you're on your normal fitness apps and so on, and mostly you don't have the right equipment, the video is just showing something else and all that kind. When you just describe for that special equipment, you just really get a good video, but not with a free plan, unfortunately. And if you can't do a training at the gym for some reasons, like, you know, your son is, for example, sick and you have to stay at home or something else, it always suggests you and helps you. And that's really also the con side. Damn, AI is so damn nice. I just said in the very first beginning, please be mean to me, you know, kick me in the ass. But unfortunately, it didn't. It always, you know, comes up all the days like, no problem. I help you. If you can't do this, and I was really like, you know, refusing going 3 days in the gym just to seeing, you know, testing it for you, how it will react. And it always comes up, no problem. Next day is your day and all that kind of stuff. So be mean. Come on, kick me. You know, so it's really it always was nice. Even as said, be mean to me, it didn't really work out. The free credits always has been quick, used up very easily. And as I said, AI is in UI, it doesn't really work in that case. So that's why that fitness apps where you're just, typing numbers or is always helpful, because you have everything on one screen. And I need to hire Asif in that case, as my UI developer in that case, so we can build then an app, and then obviously it will really, really work out very nicely. So I said Copilot, right? So I just tried that as well with Copilot as well, because we have an M65 license at work, so I could also try that as well. But guess what? It's the same as ChatGPT, because both are using the same models more or less behind. So ChatGPT a little bit more advanced, but everything what I just tried out there is exactly the same. So that's why there's no need just to go through this kind of exercise then again. So what I want to do in the future is, that was just the beginning. And usually my plan was also to finish up, come with an app, but I then also just as if coding guidelines, I just put my app then to aside and I said, okay, I just need to rework this again. No, just kidding. I just want to bring this up into an app. So the reason for this is I just need a little bit more time on that. And I just want to give Keith another reason to invite me into this. But to be honest, the idea is really to use Copilot and Dataverse behind, and as well AI prompts and all that kind of stuff to make really at that experience, on app level, because I believe that Copilot can help you, but on that screen scrolling all the time really didn't really give me the trick. And maybe I also can turn Copilot to an evil, which hopefully will help me in that kind of being mean as well. So that's more or less how Copilot tortured me. Did it torture me at the end? No, it amused me. It was always nice. So maybe in the future I get it more mean. Maybe I have to insult more. So hopefully it was enjoyable for you. And thank you very much for having me today. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Bülent. That was brilliant. I mean, before versus after pictures, that might be a suggestion, with the guns out and everything. But I love it. Some great tips there. Fantastic. If anyone's got any questions, please just raise their hand. Sharon's got a really good question there, Bülent. You might know what this means. Where's the wig and the boots? Just checking if you know what that means.
This is an insider, I mean, I have just explained it to you. So Sharon visited me in Germany in April, not personally, but I take it like personally. And then she had wigs on her head, and as well this amazing boots she also were wearing for Scottish Summit last year. And then she was just making an air kick, some kind of, and I think I was the only person who have pictured that as well. And I haven't shared that, but Sharon just have shared that. And next time I will also have amazing boots, and we'll just show and make an air kick just for you, just for Power Platform Community High Five.
Love it. Brilliant. Lots of love in the chat as well. I mean, people are loving the tips and things you've got. Kieran's asked one to do with Copilot in general. What's the best Copilot adoption techniques that you've used? So it's a bit outside of the session, but any thoughts?
So in private life or in company life?
I'll go with company unless Kieran wants to jump in. But yeah,
okay,
maybe work first.
So in company life, there are much better people who are just dealing with Copilot adoption. But the thing is, what I just learned is there's no so much trust in Copilot so much, or trust is maybe the wrong word. So you need the people need a little bit more time. My feeling of this is that everything in Copilot, everything with AI has developed so fast and rolled over the people. So we didn't have really the time to get familiar with that. It's there now. We all hear the hype and all that kind of stuff. But what really helps in company stuff is really instead of throwing a Copilot strategy, some kind of 1,000 PowerPoints, just offer the people to experience Copilot's live with you. So we offer people, for example, workshops and say, okay, we take you to a workshop and I give you some kind of training material which I created, give me a use case, and based on that, we're building something together. So, and then people sitting then together with me in the workshop and we're building together and they're making mistakes and I'm there directly and help them and also try to let them understand, but they're also doing it the same. And one truth is, if you're sitting and had a workshop with a company last month, we had 12 people at the Microsoft building in Cologne in Germany. And it was 12 people, 13 people, and the half of that said at the end, it was a great workshop, but I don't know if I will do this in the future, but I like that. I saw the outlook. And there's others who just said, oh, that's amazing. I have so many brilliant ideas and I want to do this, I want to do that. And that's always the case. If you really catch one who just get amazed, then you already won with that workshop. And this is how you just started Copilot. Let people feel what you can just do. And this is always where I start that journey with them. And this is in company life, the most success. In private life, if you have WhatsApp, install Copilot and just ask for the best reprints you can just do for your family. So maybe it will help you with some ideas.
That's great advice. Yeah, thank you. I love that with the certainly with the work and consulting life is going on the journey with the customer. You know, you're in it together, you learn together, you might fail with it together, but you kind of there along the way. And what you mentioned in personal life as well, someone I was saying to someone yesterday was, hey, I want to do a hobby project or a side thing. It wasn't for Copilot, it was for Power Apps, but could be the same. What should I do? I said, well, go with something that means something to you, something you're passionate about, because you're likely to give it more energy and get more out of it as well. And it's might be a bit more authentic because you're going to put your skills and your experience and your knowledge into it. And you're going to really hopefully love that journey you'll be on, rather than just pick a random case management system just because, right?
Absolutely.